Hello, welcome back to the library, and here's Nigel. We're here with another book review. This one's a bit different. This one's a bit weird. Some of you may know that oh my goodness, Nigel. Some of you may know that I am a Star Trek fan. We are a Trek household. Thank you very much. And I pretty much have a soft spot in my heart for all Trek, old and new. When the pandemic was really getting started, I was in a reading slump and desperately looking for anything to help me get out of it. And I was like, I've always thought about checking out Star Trek books, and now might be the perfect time. So I went to my library's website to see what they had to listen to on audio, and they only had one. But it was for Voyager. And I have the softest of soft spots for Star Trek Voyager. Voyager was the one that we all used to watch as a family. Just the show came along at the perfect timing for all of us kids and our parents to just sit down and watch Voyager together every week. It was a good time. So even though I can definitely see how flawed Star Trek Voyager is, it still has a very special place in my heart. So I was like, yeah, I'm getting this. The book in question is Star Trek Voyager Pathways, and I'm going to use my laptop Candy to read the very short synopsis. When Captain Janeway's crew face the prospect of starving to death on an alien prison camp, they share with each other the unlikely paths that led them to the USS Voyager in the first place. Now, if you are not at all familiar with Voyager, this review might be a little bit confusing for you. Honestly, I can't say that I'll be able to explain, or even will try to explain, who all of these characters are, because it is really about the characters. So I'll try my best, but I can't promise anything. This might just be a very niche review. Overall, the premise of Voyager is that, obviously, like most Star Trek, you've got your ship, you've got your crew. You've got the starship Voyager and her crew, captained by Captain Janeway, a determined and somewhat by-the-book, straight-laced commander. And all of them end up trapped in a place called the Delta Quadrant, when Janeway makes a choice to save an alien race that many, including myself, would argue she didn't have to make. But she and her crew become determined to fly their way home, even if it takes their entire lives. Voyager finds itself with somewhat of a blended crew because a ship full of rebels called the Maquis were also transported to the Delta Quadrant along with Voyager, and now they're stuck and they have to be friends. Which actually happens really easily. That's one of the flaws in Voyager. But we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the book. It's written by one of the writers for the show, Jerry Taylor. She frequently wrote for the show. And I can see some of the hallmarks of her writing style, knowing which episodes she wrote. I can see the hallmarks. Honestly, I'll just get this out of the way. The very best thing about this audiobook is that it was read by Robert Picardo, who plays the Doctor on the show. And he is just having the time of his life. Bless Robert Picardo. He did not have to go so hard for this silly book, but he did. He did that for us. He's doing all the voices, all the inflections, just chef's kiss. Robert Picardo is an angel, and I will fight you. So the story begins with Janeway pulling a reverse Commander Shepard. We're getting really nerdy here with our sci-fi, but Commander Shepard, takes her entire team in Mass Effect 2 and just, leaves the ship with everybody somehow crammed into a little shuttle. Janeway does the opposite at the beginning of this book. She drops her crew off somewhere, and she takes the entire starship out by herself to go meet some aliens, I guess, and negotiate with them. And it doesn't make a lot of sense, but her crew needs to get caught by alien slavers somehow, and this is how it has to happen. It does beg the question, though, why she wouldn't at least want Tom Paris, the best damn pilot in the galaxy, and Neelix, her chief diplomat in quotes, with her when she goes to speak to these aliens. Unclear. This book is basically a clip show in book form. Our crew is very swiftly captured, and to keep morale up, every night they sit around their meager little campfire telling the stories of how they all came to be aboard Voyager. So you just get one character after another, and I'm just going to kind of go through them, each character, and talk about the little segment we got from them. Of course, it's only the main crew who are giving us their segments. We don't get to find out how, say, Vorik wound up on the ship, which is really disappointing to me because I want to know. This also takes place later in the seasons of Voyager, so we have 7 of 9, not Kes, although Kes does get brought up. First of all, let's talk about Chakotay. Chakotay, being Janeway's second in command, takes command of the entire situation when they are captured, and he's the one who leads the storytelling situation. Honestly, the same things that are wrong with Chakotay in the show are wrong here. The very cringy nature of his Native American heritage, which is just kind of every possible Native American stereotype and belief sort of shoved into one person. So that's present here. We get hints of his future attraction, I'm doing a lot of air quotes, to 7 of 9, when we see that his first love at the Academy is a tall, attractive, blonde woman. But don't worry, the Chakotay-Janeway shippers will not be disappointed either, because at the end, we definitely get very strong hints that he's attracted to Janeway, which is very much in line with Jerry Taylor's writing. She is, I'm pretty sure, a Janeway-Chakotay shipper. Harry Kim. Oh, Harry Kim. Harry Kim. He is, again, a bit true to form, let me just read what I wrote. Kim is and was a hopeless, clueless fuck-up. I'm sorry, people who love Kim, but yeah. We got B'Elanna. I found her story boring as well. There's really a lot of potential there with her heritage as a half Klingon, half human, but I felt like it was kind of squandered. You got her going to a Klingon world, maybe it was the Klingon homeworld, and being with her Klingon relatives and not really fitting in. And that was kind of boring. There is a little bit at the end with her and Tom, and I did like that. Kind of just a very little taste of, like, her feelings about Tom initially, but it was very short, and honestly, I found her section pretty boring. 7 is present, but she doesn't even get mentioned until partway through the story, and she doesn't tell how she wound up on Voyager because we were there for that. We know. And she also doesn't share much of her backstory because, again, she doesn't have much since she was captured by the Borg when she was a little child. And it's probably smart that the author did not try to, like, add anything to that story. It stands fine as it is within the show. This book is obviously for fans of the show. You wouldn't read this if you're not a fan of the show, so we didn't really need any more from 7. However, I would have liked to know that she was there. Like, I went into this book not quite knowing exactly where we were in the timeline, and then it was like, oh, and 7's been here all along with her super strength and cyborg abilities, and we haven't been using them or mentioning them. Cool, 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 cool. And then we sort of forget her again as well. I think mostly because a lot of problems would be solved if we had a super strong cyborg, so we just pretend she's not there and doesn't have an opinion on anything. Tom! I was looking forward to his the most. Tom, aside from the Doctor, was one of my favorite characters, and unfortunately we do not have the Doctor here, although Robert Picardo is reading it to us. So I was looking forward to Tom, and we do find out a little bit about the bad thing that he did, the thing that got him in so much trouble in the first place. Tom has, you know, a checkered past and did something very bad in the Academy, got his ass kicked out and in trouble, and his father hates him and all of that stuff, and it was interesting to see that. It wasn't, like, amazing, but I was glad to see it and find out, you know, at least according to this book, what it was that Tom did. Neelix got a giant glow up for this book. I'm just going to read what I wrote. Outside from his flashback, Neelix is the wily survival expert he was intended to be. Proactive, making friends, generally not a shithead. So Neelix is useful here. Like, in the show, we all make fun of Neelix because he says he's a survival expert and then gets people killed. He says he's a diplomat and then makes everyone pissed. He's just not good at his job in the show. Here, Neelix is what he was supposed to be, what we were promised on the tin. He's useful, he's wily. He gets himself put on a work detail that gets him extra food that he can bring back to his friends. Although I cannot help but picture Neelix going out to this work detail and wearing his ridiculous, like, gaudy outfits, his jacket, like, the entire time he works. Can't unsee that. But, like, Neelix is what he was supposed to be in this book. Neelix's backstory was okay. I did like to see it. I did like to get a little bit more about it. I don't think I would have hated Neelix in the show if he was just a little bit more of what we were promised. And because he's better in this book, his flashback is better than it might have been as well. I take a break here from explaining everybody's storylines to say, like most fanfic, this is weirdly horny at times. Like, we gotta know who everyone is dating, with some oddly thirsty moments that at least pass quickly. And it's true, like, every single character, we have to take a moment with their, like, past and be like, this is who they were into. I don't know why, except for that it's essentially fanfic, and we have to know who everybody's romantically pairing up with in fanfic. It's really hot in this room, and I'm kind of regretting filming in here. Kes. Now, I just told you that Kes isn't here. We have 7 of 9 instead. But, conveniently, Neelix gets, like, a brain blast from Kes, who is, I believe, some sort of elevated being at this point. And she just, like, beams the memory of her past into his brain, so we still get her story anyway. A very stupid and contrived way to get it, but I was still interested in it, and I think Kes's was actually one of my favorite ones. Tuvok was such a letdown. Tuvok is the security chief, and he's a Vulcan, and he's also one of Janeway's best friends, and I love their friendship on the show. And so I was really hoping to see some of that friendship in his past, but instead we got young Tuvok, and then like Tuvok going on some sort of spiritual journey, and for some reason he was naked Tuvok for a while, and I just realized how much I didn't want to picture Tim Russ naked, and there we are, and we got nothing of his and Janeway's friendship, and it was deeply disappointing to me. No offense to Tim Russ, just naked Tuvok is something I realized I never wanted. So those are all of the crewmen, and then I have a few more notes. Harry befriends an alien in this prison camp who turns out to be 1000% just a plot point. She exists only to be used for one thing at the end of the story, and then they promptly get rid of her, and that was really disappointing and frustrating. I mean, I should have seen it was coming, because this book kind of acts like an episode of the show, and any, non-canonical person who comes along is not going to stay. But I was still like, at least take her with you and tell us in a little afterward that you dropped her off on her home world or something. This book has a major hard-on for Captain Janeway, which is 100% a Jerry Taylor thing. Jerry Taylor loves Captain Janeway, and this book just goes out of its way to praise Janeway at every turn. Every single character is like, and then I met Janeway, and she was like this brilliant, intelligent, badass goddess lady, and I just couldn't wait to work for her. I felt drawn to her immediately. And it's like, I like Janeway, but not that much. This was definitely just a sanctioned fanfic. I wish I was getting paid to write those. Because Jerry Taylor writes for TV, it definitely felt like she maybe wasn't as good at writing like a novel, and she definitely left out things that she wasn't really interested in. Like, there were, within everybody's like personal stories, there were giant time skips, leaving out details that I wanted to know. Like, Neelix was traveling with a guy named Wix for a while, and then all of a sudden he's just not anymore, and I wanted to know how they got separated. Maybe it was in the show, and so I'm supposed to just remember, but I do not. I will say that I have read much better amateur Star Trek fanfiction on, like, AO3. So, if you really want some Star Trek fanfic, honestly, just go there. This is fine, but nothing that special. I bet money that any of us fans could write something more in-depth and heartfelt than this pretty easily. So, overall, entertaining, but not good by any means. If you are a die-hard fan of Voyager and want to consume everything Voyager, then I would say maybe check this out, but otherwise, just go read some fanfiction on AO3. In fact, I might do that pretty soon. I'm in the mood for some Star Trek fanfiction. Are any of you guys Star Trek fans, and have you read any of the Trek books? Are there any that you absolutely love? Anybody out there a fan of Voyager? Am I alone in my love of Voyager? And we will get back to our regularly scheduled program of not Star Trek books, with new videos coming out Mondays and Fridays. All the links to my social media are in the doobly-doo, including the link to my Patreon, where for as little as $1 a month, you get even more content exclusive to Patreon. I will see all of you again next time with whatever it is I happen to be doing next time, probably getting hit in the face with Nigel's tail some more. Bye! Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching that video, but before you go, I need to introduce you to some really important people. Those people are Callison, Ray, Artemis, Shelby, Zaire, Adrienne, Jesper, Ryakio, Irene, Sabby Panda, Scribbling Cat, Savvy, Jenny, Amanda, and Lisa. And you want to know why those people are so awesome? Because they are my patrons, and that means they're the best people in the whole world. Ba 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 da 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 ba da 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 la da da la da.